In the case of Dr. York, the media portrayal is that there were hundreds of children that were violated. The federal government wants you to believe that child after child testified against Dr. York. This is definitely not the case. The charges against Dr. Malachi Z. York involve 13 alleged victims. Interviews of many of these so-called victims were conducted by a lead investigator in Dr. York's case, FBI agent Jelaine Ward. During the trial, Jelaine Ward was asked about how she conducted the interview process. She was asked what kind of training she had received in dealing with molestation cases. She answered that she received in-service training through the FBI and worked several cases involving children, not necessarily molestation cases. Now, when asked how she ensured the interview process was not influenced by suggestive processes, Jelaine Ward just said she conducted a good interview. Now, according to the state of Georgia, Office of the Child Advocate for the Protection of Children, in their minimal standards protocol, it states, when conducting an interview, the officer should ask only basic, non-detailed questions, and a more detailed interview will be deferred to the Child Advocacy Center or a trained interviewer. It also states that obtained statements from the alleged victims are recorded by audio and or video recordings through trained interviewers at the Children's Advocacy Center within 72 hours. Now, during the trial, Jelaine Ward testified under oath. When asked if the interviews conducted were recorded by audio or video, she answered no. She testified that each of the interviews were conducted when the alleged victims were alone and without the presence of their parents. Again, in the state of Georgia, the Child Advocate for the Protection of Children have a minimal standards protocol. That's minimal standards protocol. On the stand, Jelaine Ward was asked if she was familiar with the minimal standards protocols. She responded that she was not necessarily familiar with the Georgia protocols versus the Florida protocols, but she was familiar with the forensic interview specialist protocol of videotaping the interview. She explained she was familiar with videotaping the interview, but did not videotape any of the interviews she conducted, which was approximately 16 to 18 interviews. The question is why? Why wasn't there a recorded interview entered into evidence of these so-called alleged victims? Now, out of the 13 alleged victims, 5 of them were underage children who were kidnapped during the raid of the Nuwaupian land.
Out of the 13, 5 children who lived on the Nuwaupian land were taken into state custody.
They were taken into custody by the Department of Family and Children's Services, also known as DFACS. They were interrogated and psychologically and medically examined.
All 5 insisted that Dr. York never did anything inappropriate to them.
All 5 of these children insisted adamantly from the moment of their kidnapping by the state that nothing ever happened to them. One of these 5 children included one of Dr. York's own sons. He emphatically told the state officials that he loved his father, and his father loved him. He stated that his father never did anything to him. These 5 children were brought into juvenile court in Jones County in the Okmulgee Circuit, presided over by Judge Spivey. And on July 12, 2002, after weighing all the physical evidence, the interviews and interrogations, the psychological and medical evidence,
Judge Spivey ruled that none of the 5 children were ever molested. The crazy part is these 5 children were still included as alleged victims in Dr. York's case.
Understand this. They all said nothing happened to them. DFACS and the juvenile court in Jones County proved nothing ever happened to them, and they were still listed as alleged victims. Some even testified during Dr. York's trial that nothing ever happened. This is a clear sign of a setup. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is clear that there was a conspiracy to frame Dr. York.